Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Canon Chatter TV, sponsored by the one and only thematchday.shop.com. I'm G Talks Arsenal, and I'm here with my main man Stephen. How you doing, Stephen?
Good evening, mate. I am very, very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good, especially because we've got the official Canon Chatter hoodies on.
Yep.
Looking the part. Looking the part.
Well, that's it. We'll have to look the part if we don't sound it.
Yeah, well, early days, early days. We're gonna get there, but yeah, guys. Tonight's show is all about the Premier League game between Arsenal and Burnley. So really important game for obvious reasons. So we're going to be basically giving you our thoughts and feelings ahead of tomorrow's clash. We'll also be sharing with you who we think should be in the starting 11, as well as giving you our score predictions. So do stay tuned for more info. Now, before we kind of kick off, we just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has viewed, liked, subscribed, and even shared our YouTube debut, which was on Monday of this week. We've literally been overwhelmed just by all the support and all the positive feedback that we've had so far. So, a massive thank you from us. We really do appreciate all your support. And to be honest, we just really look forward to your continued support as we move forward as a YouTube channel. In terms of new viewers, so if you are tuning in for the first time tonight, welcome. Really hope you enjoy the show. Do remember to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as turning on those notifications, because we want you to be up to date with all the great content that we have coming your way. Before we kick off the show, just want to say Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, which is at canon_chatter. You can also follow us on Twitter, which is at Canon Chatter. We do have our own individual Twitter account, so feel free to give us a follow. My Twitter account is at GTalksArsenal, and Steven's Twitter account is at SB Canon Chatter. So, with that being said and done, let's talk football. So, Steven, how do you feel about tomorrow's game?
I am quietly confident. Actually, do you know what? I'm not even quietly confident. I'm very confident. We've had a week off. Burnley have played in the week against the Leicester team that we hammered last weekend, and they got a draw on Wednesday night. So, coming into it's the early kickoff, they won't have had an awful lot of rest. And we have a good record against Burnley, albeit they beat us earlier in the season. But, for the most part, we don't struggle against Burnley. They're not playing great at the minute. They've since they beat us, they've only won 3 out of 15 Premier League games. So they're not a great side. I am not worried. I think it'll be quite comfortable.
Good, good, good. Yeah, to be honest, I'm really confident about the game. I'm looking at it thinking, this is one of the games where we really need to take advantage of the fact that the teams in and around us and above us have been quite inconsistent. We've got a really good record against them, so I'm looking for Arteta to field a strong side, win the game within the kind of first 45 to 60 minutes, and then obviously maybe take a couple of key players off, but I'll be honest, if we don't walk away with anything other than the 3 points, I'll be really disappointed. So yeah, I'm feeling quietly confident as well. Quietly confident as well. So should
Can I
we
just
share?
quickly?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to say quickly before I go any further. I
Mhm.
apologize for the lighting in this room. It's terrible. I have ordered a new light. It's on its way. We did try. We had one set up there, and it fell down before we came on air. So
Literally,
we will hopefully have that sorted next week.
literally. I think
So
like it's a little bit dark where you are, and I look like I am beaming. I look like I got fluorescent lights all over me. So yeah, a bit of a contrast there. But yeah, we'll sort out the lighting moving forward. So should we talk lineups? I don't know if you want to go first with your lineup or you want me to take you through
well,
mine.
I
I'm
have
easy either
yours set
way.
up first. So do you want to do yours first? Because
Okay. Yeah,
it's on the screen. Bear with
no
me. I
problem.
will bring it up now for you. I
Right.
got that all
So
right.
hopefully you
There we go.
guys, yeah. So hopefully you guys can see the lineup at home. So as I said earlier in the show, I'm looking for um, Arteta to field a really, really strong side. I think this is a key fixture, given the fact, what Stephen said about, our record against them, their current form. And when I look at the upcoming fixtures, I'm thinking to myself, this is a really winnable game. So I'm going to go with a really strong lineup. I'm going to go with Leno in goal. For obvious reasons, he's been superb throughout the season. I'm going to go with Cedric at right back. Not sure if everybody will agree with that opinion, but Cedric for me over Bellerin. I think he's come into the side. He's played right back, left back. He's done a solid job, and I think that he's actually playing him at right back has actually improved our forward play. So I'm going to go with Cedric playing at right back. At centre back, this might be a little bit controversial. I think a lot of people have seen most recently we've had Louise and Murray playing at centre back. But for me, I think, Holding has had a really good season, hasn't been in the team much lately, but I would start with Holding um, in the right centre back position. And I'd also start with Gabriel in the left centre back position. Again, for me, Gabriel was probably, well, not even probably, I would say he was our best player in the first part of the season. Obviously, the whole COVID situation, he was out of the team. I think he's kind of struggled coming back into the side recently. But I think with the games, Olympiacos, as well as the North London derby and so forth, I think it would be a really good opportunity to have Holding and Gabriel back in the first team for this match. TNE for me, you know, he's just a guaranteed starter. I think we literally lack so much going forward on the left hand side when he's not in the side. So for me, that's just a no brainer. In midfield, I'm going to have a kind of midfield pivot of Xhaka sitting, Partey kind of breaking up the play. And obviously pinging those balls forwards for our forward and front players. And another controversial one, maybe for some fans, I'm going to go with Odegaard playing in that kind of behind the striker or behind the front three in that playmaker role. I think recently Smith Rowe came off injured in the last game. I do think he is suffering from a bit of fatigue. And I know just looking at some of the Arsenal tweets earlier on that he is going to be assessed before the game, but I can't really see him starting this game. I think he's going to fall short. But I think Odegaard has shown since coming to Arsenal that, he is more than capable of coming in there and being that kind of creative player that we need for the front three. Saka on the right, again, for me, he's just, he's one of those players that you just have to start. He's just been absolutely phenomenal all season, and I've got to have him, in my right side for this match. Pepe on the left. This might be another one that people might raise a couple of eyebrows at, but I've seen him play on the left-hand side, and I actually think that's where he really found his form in a couple of games earlier in the season. So I'm going to choose to play him on the left side of the front three, and I'm going to play Aubameyang in the middle. I think he's in great form. He scored five goals in his last 5 games, and I'm looking for that real kind of clinical striker to come in and kind of just put away the goals when the chances come to him. So that's my lineup. Any thoughts on that lineup, Stephen?
Yeah, it's one of them things. We've got a message here from Ryan Allison, who says he's gone for 2-0 Arsenal win. Players are nice and rested. Also, certain players have come into form that weren't before. So that's the likes of Pepe and stuff. It's going to be difficult for Arteta to choose the strongest team.
Definitely.
Thank you for that, Ryan. Yes, it is absolutely. Because everybody's basically fit. And that's the first time I think this season he's had pretty much a fit squad. Well, Smith Rowe's being assessed tomorrow. I don't think Smith Rowe will make the team, personally. But yeah, I think you've picked a good strong side there. There's you'll see when I do mine, I have a few different players in, but on the whole, the majority of the team is the same. And I think it's kind of evident if you see the run of good results there we had, we were starting to see very much the same core of players every week. Another one there from Ryan. Not sure about Holding. We'd rather play Murray or Louise. Cedric has to come into the squad. We played a lot better against Leicester when he started. Odegaard should start. You've seen his
Yeah,
quality already. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that
I mean,
and
I'm going to touch on a couple of those things when I'm
yeah.
going through mine as well.
And that's what I mean. I think at the moment, I think, there was a time when we would kind of really struggle to field or even to kind of mention, a first team 11. And it was all for the wrong reasons because it was a case of we didn't really know who we could trust. We didn't really know who was on form. And so it was more like, who do we play? Obviously, there were a couple of key players that would always feature. But I think now we've kind of transitioned into we've transitioned to have kind of different problems in that for me at the back, there's an argument to say we could play, any of those four centre backs. And even up top, I went for Saka, Pepe, and Aubameyang, but to be honest, one could argue, William could deserve a chance in this match, given some of the other games that we've got coming up. Obviously, Burnley being one of the easier matches for the kind of scheduled fixtures. And again, Lacazette's having a really good season. So yeah, there's going to be constant debate with regards to who we can play, but I think we're definitely moving towards, a time of the season where we're actually struggling to pick the first team 11 for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons, which for me is a good sign. It's a good problem to have for Arteta.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll bring up my team now. Um,
Cool.
yeah, no, I won't. Will it? Yes, I will. Hold on. Bear with me. There we go. Okay. So, just very quickly, Chris. Good evening, Chris. I think the team kind of picks itself right now. Cedric has earned the right back spot. This here is the core best team. Do you mean the one that G has picked? Um, so yeah, I mean, Leno is a no-brainer in goals. I've gone with Cedric at right back as well. I'm not Bellerin's biggest fan. Never have been. I think, for me, Cedric stays out more on the wing, and he'll go up and down that touchline, and he'll do the overlaps. With it be Saka or Pepe, whoever's on the right, he does those overlaps. He's a lot better crosser of the ball, which is evident by the fact that he takes so many of the free kicks that result for crosses into the box. Bellerin tends to, he'll get the ball, he runs in, and then what happens is when he loses the ball, he runs straight back down, which means there's nobody covering over on the right hand side, and quite often your right centre back's being dragged out there out of position, and that's where we've conceded so many of our goals. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Bellerin's to blame for every goal we've conceded. That's just silly, but he has cost us, and he's not the player that he should have been. So for me, Cedric gets that. I've gone with David Luiz over Holding. Honestly, I still think David Luiz is a better player on his day. Holding has been solid, and you could argue that some of the mistakes Holding has made has been because he's been dragged out of position because he's been having to cover that right back slot. But for
Yeah.
me, David Luiz he is slightly better. Yes, he's got that mistake in him, and we know that. But on his day, he can be a really, really good player. And he works really well with Gabriel. We've seen that partnership. I have to be honest, I kind of debated over whether we go for Gabriel or Mari at the left centre back. Mari,
Yeah.
there was a stat I was saying to you yesterday, he has only lost 1 out of the 8 games that he started, and
Mm-hmm.
that was against City, where you can virtually bet your life you're going to lose the game at the minute. So it's tough. He did, for me, he was at fault for the goal against Leicester. But it's so tough. But I give it to Gabriel because I think him and David Luiz have a really good partnership. Tierney, again, for me, Tierney's a no-brainer. If Tierney's fit, Tierney's in the team. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I see him, he's future captain of this club. I love everything about that boy. His heart is unbelievable. And he just wants to play. Midfield, like yourself, I've gone for Thomas Partey. You could argue, do we need to play him? It's Burnley. and we've got the big game against Olympiacos coming up on Thursday night. But I think he needs to get some minutes in his legs, so even if he comes on, he gets 60, 65 minutes and then bring him off, just start to get a bit of match fitness back into him, because he hasn't played an awful lot this season. And then I've gone with Ceballos over Xhaka. Now, the reason I've done that is I think Burnley will sit back. Burnley are not going to come out hard at us. They're going to sit back. They're going to want us to play with the ball, and they're just going to try and sit back and hoof it away. So we need players who can thread a pass, who are that little bit more technical. And I think Ceballos is that little bit more technical than Xhaka is. Moving on then, Saka on the right. Again, like yourself, it's a no-brainer when he's fit. He needs to play. He had a week off. So he's had a good rest. Got Odegaard in the middle. I picked Odegaard purely because Smith Rowe, I don't think is going to be fit enough to start the game, and I don't think it's worth taking the risk with him, especially when we do have Olympiacos coming up in the week.
Okay, so interesting enough. So would you have started Smith Rowe then, had he been fit?
I don't know, and that's the honest truth. I don't know. The idea of Odegaard and Smith Rowe together has worked, but I don't know long term is it something I'd want to see.
Okay.
Because you're not getting the natural width. We're fortunate that Tierney can get up and down that wing and is so good at crossing the ball. If Tierney's out, you can't start the two of them. You need to have a natural sort of, I'd say winger, but Aubameyang's not a natural winger, but he is more that sort of style. He has always played on the left, even with Dortmund and clubs like that. He's always sort of been more on the left, drifting in. So I've gone for Aubameyang. The reason I didn't pick Pepe, despite Pepe's good form, is the same reason I went for Ceballos. Okay, so again, Pepe, when he's at his best, there's room in behind the defenders for him to run and to exploit. He's not going to have that against Burnley. They're going to sit back, so he's not going to have the room in behind. So I've gone for Aubameyang because I think Aubameyang, when he's fit, you have to play him. He's the captain of the club, whether we agree with that or not. I know there's a lot of people who don't think he should be captain. I know there's a lot of people who have said that they think, at times he should be dropped. It's hard to drop your captain, and I don't care what you say. It is hard to drop the captain of a club. So I've gone for him, and Lacazette, I think, has been playing well. His hold-up play is good, and I think that this is the sort of game that's going to suit him. He get opportunities, and I think he'll probably stick a couple away tomorrow. So that is my 11.
Yeah, my only concern with Lacazette is I agree with you in that I think this is potentially one of those games where I think it could suit him. His kind of hold up play, how he kind of interlinks with the other forward players. But my only concern with Lacazette is that sometimes he's just not clinical enough, and I feel like this could potentially be one of those games where chances are kind of far and few between, and I'm just not sure if I can trust him to kind of stick away, one of those kind of, the odd one or two chances we might get. But I can definitely see the logic behind starting him. I think, his hold up play and his play kind of, back to goal, is a lot better than that of Aubameyang in the middle. So I can definitely see the logic there. No, that makes a lot of sense. What have we got here?
So,
yes.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so we've got the 1G picked, Pepe on the left and Uber in the middle. For me, I don't ever see when fit there ever being an Arsenal team without Xhaka in it. Yeah, I think Xhaka really does divide the fan base. There have been incidents where obviously Arsenal fans, even myself, have not been very pleased with the way he's kind of carried himself and so forth. But I think for me, he's definitely one of those players that he gets a lot of stick, and I think rightly so in certain circumstances. But I also feel as though he's one of those players that even when he kind of does have a good game, he kind of goes unnoticed. Um, I do see the logic behind what you're saying in that Burnley, are going to sit deep. They're going to look. We're going to need players who can break them down. At the same time, my thinking of playing Xhaka is I kind of want to give, Thomas Partey more roam, more freedom to kind of go forward because he can be that player. What I've seen of him so far, he can really pick a pass and he can really kind of split that defense. So the thinking behind my lineup is I want Xhaka to sit deep, give Partey, more freedom to go forward. And hopefully, he will be able to pick a pass to kind of, you know, um, open up Burnley. But yeah, I agree with you. Xhaka for me has to start in this game.
Great.
Yes,
So
Joe.
then, Joe, I think I'd agree with David Luiz at the back, especially given Burnley are a very physical team. But other than that, I'd go with the lineup G went with. Fair enough. Brian, Pepe needs to play. Get him running at the Burnley fullbacks. They will struggle. This is true, but as I say, I just think he's better when there's more space in behind him. But that's the beauty of this. We can all have different opinions.
Definitely.
Nobody's wrong. And also, Xhaka is Mr. Consistent, and he's only noticed for the mistakes he makes. Yeah, there is an argument to that. I would say his stats are padded a little by the fact that he does, and I said it the other night in the stream, he tends to go sideways or backwards a lot. The thing with Xhaka that really annoys me is that when Xhaka wants to, and he's in the mood, and he starts pinging those balls forward, he can be so good. And we've seen it this season where he's had really good games where he looks to go forward, but for some reason, so often he turns and goes back. And I don't know whether that's an instruction he's getting from Arteta or whether that's just his natural game is to want to play back and play safe and just pass the ball about. But if he set his mind, he could be really good at going forward.
Definitely, I agree with that because I see him play for Arsenal, and a lot of the time, like you're saying, it's always sideways and backwards. But I've seen him playing for Switzerland, and he plays, completely different. Sometimes I've seen international games where he's been literally their most creative player. Picking passes, pinging it all over the pitch. So maybe it is a a tactic or more of an instruction that he's been given rather than that being his kind of natural game. But yeah, those are some really good comments, guys. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. So what are we going for in terms of scoreline predictions?
Will I go first? Do you want me to go
Yeah, I
first?
don't mind. You can go first. That means you get first dibs. Yeah.
I'm confident I am going to go 4-0.
4-0. Convincing win.
Yeah, I think we are going to get 4. I can't see us struggling.
What about the scorers? Go on, 4-0. What are the scorers? Who you reckon is going to score?
I reckon Laka will get 2.
Okay.
Aubameyang will get 1. And this one's going to be controversial.
I think
1. Willian will come off the bench.
And your last one?
I think Willian will come off the bench and get 1.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So 4-0, and you're going with Laka will get a brace, Aubameyang will nick 1, and Willian will get I think it's his first goal. It will be for Arsenal, right?
It would be, yes.
I believe so. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he hasn't scored yet.
So well, it'll be a good time to score, definitely. I'm going to go with a convincing win also, but I'm going to go with a 3-0. I think that it's going to be pretty comfortable. I think we'll get a nice early goal, and I'm going to go with the goals shared across the front three. So I'm going to go with Saka, Pepe, and Aubameyang. And I think Odegaard will probably get all 3 assists in an ideal world.
Funny, I was talking to my mate Mark, who lives in Madrid. He phoned me yesterday, and we were chatting about Odegaard, and he was saying that the Madrid fans he knows, they don't want him to go. they want to keep him. You know, they're almost at a point where they'd rather Zidane went and keep Odegaard for the future because they think as well that that's going to be a big part of getting Haaland as well because they're teammates for their country.
Okay.
But they see it
Yeah,
immense
yeah.
talent in Odegaard,
International
and
teammates.
I agree. You know, he's quality. I said the other day, you know, he reminds me so much of Fabregas, the way he's looking about constantly, and even his mannerisms as he runs. He reminds me so much of Fabregas if he just could add a few goals to the game. So, guys, for those that are watching live, come on, fire us in some score predictions, please. I've got one from Chris. You stole my thunder. I was going to say 3-0 Lacazette, Alba, and Willian scoring in the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, so just kind of touching upon what you said with regards your 1 second. I just need to plug in my charger for my laptop. Yeah, so kind of touching upon what you said with regards the Odegaard situation. That's what I kind of said in the first show that we did on Monday. It's like, because I know initially when we had conversations, you kind of touched upon me saying that, I wasn't too sure about him. You know what it is? I'm massively convinced he's a top draw player. And I do think between, now and the end of the season, he's going to be crucial in terms of, where we finish and the result we get. My only concern is that, the state of play as it is, he's going back to Real Madrid. And I really can't see Arsenal being able to negotiate, a reasonable fee for him. Because I just don't think Real Madrid are going to be interested. I think, they've picked him up as a youngster. He's not really settled in. And a lot of that has been to do with relationships with the managers, at Madrid. There's a lot of rumors about Zidane leaving, as you said. So I feel as though, he's going to come in, he's going to do an amazing job for us. But it's almost like I don't really want to get too excited because I know he's going back to Madrid. And I don't really see him being at Arsenal next season. But nonetheless, he's a joy to watch, So hopefully he does well. You've got another
Ryan
one
saying
come up on the
2-0
screen.
Odegaard and Laka.
Yeah. So generally, the Arsenal fans are feeling really confident. Do you know what I mean? So that's obviously people are sharing our optimism ahead of tomorrow's game.
Do you think Odegaard will come back for a full season?
That is a possibility, that is a possibility. So it says here, do you think Odegaard? Yeah, so I do think that that is a possibility. I think, obviously Tobias came back for a second season on loan. And I do think that is a possibility that, if we don't actually secure the permanent transfer of Odegaard, then he could definitely come back on loan because it seems as though Arsenal and Madrid have a really good relationship.
Yeah, I think a big part of it depends on whether Zidane stays or not.
So yeah, you still with me, Stephen?
So yeah, you're frozen up again, but you're still with us in sound.
Stephen, so are you still with me?
Click on. Yes. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Can you hear us? Yeah, okay. So there we've got Joe's coming in with 2-0 as well, both for Oba.
I think we're having technical difficulties, but I don't know if mine or yours.
Yeah, it's your Wi-Fi again. Hello?
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if we're having technical difficulties, but I'm not sure if we've.
So,
Stephen, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm just going to mute him for a wee sec.
I'm not too sure what's going on. I don't know whether you guys can see me live or whether you can see both me and Stephen live.
Okay, so Ricky has come in with, I think it will be 2-1 win, but I don't think it will be comfortable win.
So I've got on my screen, I've got Joe coming in with, I think, a 2-0 win with Uber winning both.
Yeah, it looks like we've completely lost G here at the minute. I am going to See what we can do. No. Are you there, Jay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, mate.
Can you see me?
I can see you, unfortunately.
Okay. I'm not I'm not sure what happened. Like on my screen everything was fine, but it just seemed like everything else was lagging out.
Yeah. Chris is saying you're starting to stutter.
Okay. But is it all good now or is it like still causing
It
problems?
seems to be
I
a bit
can't tell
better,
because
but
my screen it looks fine.
yeah, we're near the end anyway. So, Ryan, thoughts on
No
Tony being
problem.
available or Tony being available for 30 million? Will he be a start or a backup if he did join? It depends. He looks like a good player, and I think that all depends on whether Brentford get promoted. If they don't get promoted, then yes, he's certainly for sale. If they get promoted, I think he may want to stay with them for a season because he's guaranteed to be a starter for them, which would give him a year's experience, and he's young enough that he can then get a big move the summer after. Um, if they don't get promoted, 30 million, I don't know. It's a lot of money for someone to sit on the bench. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, definitely. So I've seen, hopefully you guys can see me and hear me clearly now. I've definitely, that's good, that's good. I've definitely heard a lot and seen a lot about this player. I definitely think he is a player that is worth a punt. So, I can see him, whether or not they get promoted, I can see him in the Premiership next season. I think the problem, like Steven said, with regards Tony, is the price tag. Um, I know, Villa, for example, paid, quite a bit of money for Watkins, but I think 30 million is a steep price tag. I think, we could take that 30 million and probably spend that on, say, a more established forward somewhere else. But again, he's having a tremendous season in the Championship. Um, it would just be a case of, can he actually transition from the Championship to the Premiership? That's not always a given. We've seen many a times people, players go from one European league to another European league and struggle, or banging goals for fun during the in the Championship or some of the lower leagues, and then not actually be able to make the cut in the Premiership. But I definitely see him being in the Premiership. I do think that he is a player that a lot of Arsenal fans would like us to take a chance on, but we'll just have to wait and see how that one pans out, really. But yeah, good player,
Yeah,
having a tremendous season.
I think it's interesting that it's coming out a wee bit more now that Arsenal have an interest in him, especially with the. I don't know if you've seen the stuff today about Hudson Edouard from
Yes,
Celtic potentially
yes,
going to Leicester.
yeah, I've seen it.
That Brendan Rodgers may well have tied that one up.
Hmm.
That to me is a big loss if we don't get him. I personally would have loved him at the club. I think he would have been a natural replacement for Laka. I think he's a very, very good player. He's young. I mean, if you speak to the Celtic fans, they'll tell you that he's better than Dembele, who went to
Mm-hmm.
Lyon and is now at Atletico on loan. But I mean, Dembele when he was there was at Celtic was phenomenal. It's one of them
Yeah.
things with the Scottish League. It's hard to tell because the quality is not the same as
Hmm.
it is in the Premiership.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but then you look at the likes of Tierney, who's come in, and how well he's adjusted to it.
That's
So
it.
I think we potentially have got to look up in the likes of Scotland for more players.
Hmm.
You look at the likes of McGinn and Aston Villa, who I've said time and time again, I take at Arsenal every day of the week.
Yeah,
Again,
you
another
said that
good
so many
Scottish
times to
player.
me.
So maybe we do need to look up there. But Tone, or how do you pronounce his name?
Which
Is
one?
it Tone? The
Tony?
Brentford striker.
To be
Tony, is
honest,
it
I'm not even sure. I think
Tony?
it's just Tony. Yeah.
He is a good player, a good young option.
Hmm.
And as I say, I think that one's dependent on whether they get promoted or not. Of course, this all depends on whether Laka and Nketiah both go, because I think personally I see them both leaving at the end of the season. And then do we get, does Balogun sign a new contract?
Yeah.
Um, or is he
Yeah.
away? It's hard to know. I know we're trying our best to try and find out.
Yeah,
to see if we can get any inside information from people that we know.
definitely.
But we're not getting anywhere with that at the minute.
Yeah, it all seems to be very top secret at the
So
moment. It's interesting because he was on the bench tonight for the under 23s. So all the signs, are kind of showing that, if you were to look at it from, from outside, it kind of looks as though he's leaving. Eddie's not really
well,
getting
he has been
um,
injured.
any opportunities. Who, Balogun?
Yeah, he was injured, so
Okay,
he was out injured there for a couple of
okay,
games. So he was only on the
yeah,
pitch tonight because he's just coming back from injury.
yeah. And then you've got Eddie, he's not really getting any game time, and I can really see us moving him on. And there was rumours that West Ham offered 20 million in a January transfer market, but I think at the time, I don't think we were really in a position to kind of let a forward player go. But I think he'll go this summer. And Lacazette, I'm really split because as we've said, he's having a good season. At the same time, he's 29. Um, he's probably got one big contract kind of deal left in him. And I just think, we should be kind of looking, to kind of, if we're going to sell him, now would be the time to sell him because he's going to hold some market value, being 29. And obviously, if we don't sell him, then he's got to sign a new contract because otherwise we'll lose him on a free. And to be honest, we've lost too many, players that have a decent market value for nothing. So big decisions to be made on both Eddie and Laka's futures as well as Balogun. So time will tell.
Yeah, I think it was quite telling what Arteta said in his press conference for this game about Nketiah, where he said, he had hoped to use him more and there was no issue with him in training and stuff. But they would have to
Mm,
sit down and sort of have a conversation. And I think that conversation is going
yeah,
to be find yourself a new club, son. You're done.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I know we have that show planned where we're going to talk about the squad.
hmm
But for me and Nketiah, he's not. He wants to be that poacher. And he seems to get most of his goals in and around the sort of 6 yard, the tap in sort of thing.
hmm
And we're not in the place at the minute where we can give him that sort of play.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. Cool. So yeah, anything else before we, call it a day on tonight's show?
yeah, anybody any more score lines or lineups they want to share? Any questions? Well, I just give it a wee sec while we're waiting on that. I just want to say again another quick thank you to Martin from at Gunforce Edits. You may notice if you watched the show the other night, we have had a bit of an upgrade in our graphics, which we are loving. The new banners and overlays and backgrounds and stuff. So thank you, Martin. We really appreciate everything you do for us. And I know we had a wee chat last night, and we're going to look at a lot more cool stuff coming up to keep the show moving forward and keep upgrading everything. And hopefully I get the lighting sorted out in here, and that'll be another upgrade.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
one last question, then we'll do this, and then I think we'll head. So Ricky Joseph, do you think that Oba needs a partner up front because he is lacking goals, or do you think he just needs better support from midfield?
You want to
Um,
take that?
yeah, if I don't know, you look at him over the last couple of seasons where he's banging in goals, and what exactly has changed? Um, I think we started off the season worrying so much more about our defensive side of the game that we weren't creating the chances. When we did start to create the chances, he was just out of form. And you've seen it, he was missing stuff that he would have tucked away easily last season. I think he's starting to
Mm,
come back in a wee bit.
mm,
I think he'll be okay. I'm not I'm not convinced his natural position, his best position is centre forward. I do think he's better coming in off the left with a forward like a Lacazette, or if
okay.
we were to get Edouard or Tony or someone like that, someone
Mm,
that they can make a bit of room for him so that he can cut in off
yeah.
the left and have shots, but also that he can then supply as well, because he's not bad when it comes to the supply.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I'd like to kind of touch on that a little bit. So first of all, big up my boy Ricky. for sending in that question. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a difficult one because I think, there were times, I don't know whether it was under Emery or Freddie, where we played Lacazette and Aubameyang up top together, and they seem to have this great chemistry, off the pitch. And for a period in time, they were like lethal on the pitch. But for whatever reason, whether it be tactics or whatever, the two generally don't really play together as a front two, more of either Laka in the middle and then Aubameyang coming in off the left. So we don't really play a 4-4-2. Obviously, the good old days when you had Henry and Bergkamp, in a 4-4-2. But I don't know. I think Aubameyang's, like Stephen said, Aubameyang's often played coming in off the left. I'm not really sure if it would completely work if he had a partner up there up top. But it definitely seems like it's a tactic that Arteta is not choosing to go with. So we kind of got to just go with the tactics, that Arteta's choosing, and that seems to be predominantly playing either Lacazette through the middle or Aubameyang. If Arteta's listening tonight, then he might go with Stevens formation and have Uber on the left and Laka in the middle. But yeah, good question though.
Nice.
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you for that. Just very quickly from Ryan again, do you see Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Willock and Nelson having a future at Arsenal? Not going to touch on that now. We are going to record that show over the next few days and put it out next week, I think, probably over 2 parts. Our squad review, where we talk about what we think. You've probably seen the polls, and hopefully everybody got involved with the polls on Twitter over the last week on what should happen to every member of the squad. So we'll talk about that then. Chris, very quickly, tactically, we don't play 2 up front, but would end up on the left rather than as a 2 in the middle anyway. Yeah, that's very true. So with that, I think we should probably wrap it up, because we did say beforehand, half an hour max, we're not going to do any more, and there we're coming up in 45 minutes already.
Yeah, the time just flies. The time just flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Do you want to wrap it
Brilliant.
up then?
So I'm good. Yeah, so obviously, guys, thank you for tuning in to our second live stream. Apologies if there were technical difficulties and you saw me freeze on screen or lost me altogether at one point. However, yeah, just a massive thank you for all your support so far. Thank you for tuning in. And literally, remember to like, subscribe, and put on your notifications for all the content that we've got coming your way. Tune into the game tomorrow, watch the game, enjoy the game, and let's hope we get, a really good result that can give us that momentum to go off and, absolutely smash the last 16 of the Europa League. So yeah, good night from me.
And I have to do it. Good night from him.
Arsenal.